Welcome to the Happiness Podcast. I'm Dr. Robert Puff. I want to ask you a question. Do you think the choices that you'll make today will have any impact on your future life or anyone else's life? If we take a moment and think about it, I think many of us would say, yes, the choices I make today will impact my life and may even impact other people's lives. But at the same time, I think the choices that we make throughout the day, today, we don't really think about how they impact our lives or other people's lives. We may realize there's some connection between what we do and other people do, but mostly we just focus on what we want or don't want to do right now. And for our own selves, we rarely think about how the choices we're making right now will impact us in the long run. Life is often just a series of events that we engage with. We want to do something, and if we can, we do that. Things we don't like, we try to terminate as fast as possible. But I think for many of us, we just live our lives as a mishmash of choices that we make that have really no relevance to ourselves or anyone else in the long run. But I think if we stop and reflect on our lives, we can think about things that we've done that at the time seemed insignificant, but in the long run did impact us or someone else, sometimes even majorly. Don't we all know someone that got quickly and perhaps romantically involved with someone for a short amount of time that wasn't really going to go anywhere, but then a child was born and the connection between the two of them lasted a lifetime? Or someone else who went to university, they had studied hard in high school, but they really liked the university life and perhaps partied too much, stopped studying hard, didn't do well on their tests, failed out, and then had to go down a very different journey in their lives. But these are big stories that we all know. My question today is, what if we change our perspective on how we're living and seeing life like a chess game where every move we make matters and has repercussions not only for our own lives, but for everyone we interact with throughout our lives? I think for many people, as they navigate life, and perhaps you're doing this too, choices that we make throughout the day mostly seem inconsequential. They just don't matter. But ask yourself, is that true? When a chess player moves a piece on the chessboard, doesn't it impact the entire game and the outcome of the game? In chess, it does. But what if the same thing were true in our lives? That every choice we make, every interaction we have, every seemingly inconsequential action that we take or thought that we have impacts us and those around us. Maybe not right away, and maybe we don't see the consequences of these choices for a while, but they do show up, and when we make one decision, we don't make another, and that has consequences for us and others. Do you know who won the Nobel Prize in Chemistry in 2024? It was Demis Hassabis. As a child, Demis was a chess player prodigy. He won a lot of games at a very young age. I recently saw an interview on him, and he talked about when he was playing chess as a young man, he decided that there's a much bigger game than chess to play, and that's to make our world a better place, and he wanted to help people. And he felt the way he could do this was by developing AI so that with AI he could solve medical problems and make people healthier and live longer. And when he finished high school, he was actually offered a job that if he took, he'd get $1 million to do it. But he knew the important game of chess was to make the world a better place, not just play the game of chess. So he went off and developed DeepMind, and DeepMind was purchased by Google, and with now all the resources before him, he and some of his colleagues started a program called AlphaFold, where they solved medical problems, protein problems, and because of this, he won the Nobel Prize in chemistry. Demis is actually one of the smartest people on the planet, but if he hadn't understood how life is like chess, he wouldn't have gone on and made the major accomplishments in making our world a better place through his actions throughout life. He knew each choice that he made had repercussions, and being a world-class chess player, he applied his skills to make our world better. Now, like me, you may be thinking, well, I'm not as smart as Demis. I can't do things like that. But the question to ask ourselves is, if it's true that life is like a chess game and every move that we make has ramifications, good or bad, are we playing our game of life, our game of chess, well? There's a myth out there that I want to disabuse ourselves of. We often think that our decisions only affect us. In reality, we're all pieces on the same board. If we knock over a pawn, the whole board changes configurations. Then there's the blast radius of a move. Isn't it true that angry word or a kind gesture affects immediate family, then colleagues, then even strangers? It's the ripple effect. If you've ever known a person or studied about a person who you feel is wise and just a good person, they did not get there by accident. They made many choices throughout their life that got them there. What can be so hard about this is the lag time. We often don't see the consequences of our choices for quite a while. A healthy, vibrant 16-year-old who starts smoking may not even feel the effects of smoking for decades, but when it comes, it can come with quite a vengeance. Or our next door neighbor who was really involved with his family, made sure he came home on time when he could and saved money, took them on vacations. We see now that his kids are around him, visit him often, and really love who he is, while another neighbor perhaps didn't do any of these things, and now no one visits him. Just like a blunder in the opening moves of chess might not cause the loss of the game until the end, our bad habits or poor ethical choices might not show negative results for years. Conversely, small, positive moves, consistency, honesty, health, might look insignificant, but now leads to a winning position later. One of the benefits and disadvantages of getting older is that we get to see how the choices we made throughout our lives have turned out. I remember once visiting my cousins for a reunion years ago, and towards the end of the day, I went to bed early because in the morning I wanted to get up and go for a run. Some of them were upset at me because they wanted me to stay up and drink with them. I'm not much of a drinker, and I wanted to run in the morning, so I didn't. But now years later, thankfully, my body is still pretty healthy. And the sad thing is, many of my cousins struggle with pretty severe health problems. Did me, that one night, missing hanging out with them and instead going to bed, make it so that now my body is pretty healthy? No. But the consistency of doing that throughout my life has had good consequences, as the consistency of them not doing that has had consequences for them too. As we navigate life, we have to trust that the strategy we've chosen, because we've studied it and realized that it could have good consequences because it's good moves, that we believe that even though we won't see immediate rewards, in the end, things will turn out better for us. But also, why I referred to Demis and how he won the Nobel Prize in chemistry, even though he wasn't a biologist or a chemist, he was an AI expert. He wanted to help people and felt that by developing his plan to develop really smart AI, he could solve problems that humans couldn't, and that's exactly what he did. And him, two of his colleagues, and AI won the Nobel Prize. If you want to learn more about him, there's a really good movie called The Thinking Game. I'd encourage you to take a look at it. But here's the question to us. What if we started playing the game of life to win? And not just to win for ourselves, but to win for other people too, seeing that we are interconnected and every choice that we make throughout the day has consequences for ourselves and for those around us. And then ask ourselves, what am I doing right now to make my life better and to make other people's life better? In standard chess, there's a term called zero sum, where for me to win, you must lose. But in the game of life, the best strategy is often called cooperative play or positive sum. Making the board better for everyone increases your own safety and happiness. Sometimes we make sacrifices. We may, for example, work longer so that our kids can get through college without having so much debt. Or we may take up an activity later in our lives that help others to make their lives better through our efforts, like through volunteering or donating our time and money. What if we had the Grand Master's vision of developing the wisdom to ask this very important question? If I make this move today, what does the board look like in 10 years? You may think I'm goofy, but I believe every single choice that we make matters. It's going to have effects on our lives and other people's too. So when we come home at the end of a long day and watch a mindless show where people are perhaps hurting each other or cutting each other down, or watching videos where people are humiliating other people or doing things that are hurtful or harmful, it may seem like it doesn't matter. But does it? What if instead we thought for every choice, for every thought, for every word that comes out of our mouth, for every action that we take throughout the day, we were to ask ourselves, is this a good move right now for the short term and also for the long term of my game of life? I think if we started doing that, at first it would be hard, but with time, I believe we would see results that would be magical and beautiful. And not only for ourselves, but for the people that are playing the game of life with us. One of my favorite sayings in life is, when I pull a blade of grass, the whole universe shakes. I believe we are playing the chess game of life, and every move that we make matters. May we begin today to start making moves that not only make our lives better, but to make our world better too. Thank you for joining me on the Happiness Podcast. If you'd like to learn more about the podcast, please go to www.happinesspodcast.org. That's happinesspodcast.org. Until next time, accept what is, love what is.